I just want to get some close-up shots of the knife itself. I don't know, intersperse some B-roll footage could be a good idea, although my B-roll footage will not be Will Hirsch levels of artistic or anything like that. So here we see it closed, open. See the Squid Industries logo laser etched in there. Model number 35. These beautiful Timascus handles. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Marcus, and today, as you can see from the title, we're going to be looking at the Squid Industries Tsunami Balisong. Before we get into it, this is my first review. This is my first real YouTube video, so please bear with me. Do not expect any B-roll footage or editing prowess or humor on the level of someone like Will Hirsch. Huge inspiration. Definitely one of the best channels out there right now if you're interested in Balisong flipping or Balisongs in general. But don't expect that level of quality out of this video. We're gonna try and get through this in a single take, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts, opinions, and feelings about the Squid Industries Tsunami. So first things first, there's only about 40 of these in existence, and only 3 with this exact finish, as far as I know. Yeah, my numbers could be a little off, but that comes directly from Lucas, the founder of Squid Industries. So how did I get it? I won the auction. It's not too crazy. The first 10 of these models were a lotto system, and then the rest were available at Blade Show, with the full dress ones being auctioned off. And I got lucky, and I won that auction. So here I am talking about the Tsunami. So out of the way with that, we're gonna cover the box. It's cardboard, it's white, it's got the Squid Industries logo on it. It's nice. It's a little nicer, I think, than the Krake Raken box. And it comes with the same kind of, foam you'd expect from a lot of packaging. Just, to keep the knife safe, nothing too crazy. It also came with additional hardware, some washers, some screws, and the 6 weight pins for the modular balance system. It's a pretty nice little thing for this to come with, just because it's a mid-tech knife, and so getting that little extra bit of hardware is pretty top tier. It also came with a certificate of authenticity featuring the model number, serial number, blade materials, manufacture date, designer, machinist, and assembly. So not a necessary feature in my opinion, but it is really nice, because when you're spending this kind of money on a knife, it is nice to know that you're getting it legit. So if you're going for one of these secondhand, just make sure they've got this, and just a little peace of mind there, because it's an expensive knife, and it's worth knowing that you got the real deal. So packaging out of the way, let's get into the actual knife itself. Even though I have this model, we're talking a little bit about the standard as well. So the standard model, instead of having Timascus handles, has titanium handles, the same grade typically used in every other titanium Balisong. And as opposed to the raindrop Damascus steel blade, I believe they have a 154 CPM steel blade. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, because the first 10 models had S35VN steel. And so with that, I believe there's 3 different steel types for the blade. But it's good steel. And again, this is designed as a flipper, so it doesn't need to be the best steel in the entire world. It just needs to, function. So with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about the handles, which are, I think, the key selling point of this knife. They are chamwich. I have not seen a chamwich handle in anything before, and it's really unique. Instead of being a sandwich with spacing, it is a sandwich with no spacing, designed to imitate the look and feel of a channel. They did this primarily, I believe, to have the weight balance system, which is where these screws come in here. You can take this apart and pop in those weight pins, 3 per handle at a maximum. And you can do this to increase the weight of the knife. I don't personally think that's necessary, although if you prefer a heavier knife, then go for it. I'm pretty sure the base weight for this is 4 ounces. But I just love the way it feels, stock, standard. And so I haven't messed around with that system too much, besides figuring out what the deal is with it. The handles have a really nice finish on them for both the Timascus and standard models. You can't really tell as easily on here, but it's textured with a nice little texture. That was probably not the best sentence I've ever done. And it really just adds to the grip of the knife, along with the jimping, which is very reminiscent of Krake Raken jimping, and the spacings on the side. it's hard to drop this knife. Even in the high humidity environment that I live in right now, even with sweaty palms, this knife is grippy, which is really solid. It gives you enough feel that you can rotate it around and move it, but you don't ever feel like you're gonna lose control of the knife. It is such a nice finish. If I had one critique, it'd be that outside of the jimping, the handles are extremely smooth, but that's really not too big of a deal because everything else is so grippy. You're just not gonna be dealing with it. Pardon the offhand flip there. I'm not great with my left. But the handles are really great. Overall, they are phenomenal. The look, the feel, the grip, I don't have any complaints truly about the handle. Apart from, again, the one minor gripe, but that is so not worth talking about in the grand scheme of how nice these handles are. I think they're great. And again, it's hard to see on the patterned blade and the patterned handles, but the standard model has the same patterning built in here on the swedge, and it's a nice feature. It just kind of ties the whole thing together aesthetically, and it adds a little bit of pop to, on the standard version, a little bit of a plain looking knife. That said, I don't mind that it's plain. The standard version is, I think cyberpunk is the best way to describe it. It feels like something technological, but also sleek and analog. I really don't know if that's the best way to describe it. I've seen some complaints about the look of this knife, and I don't have any complaints. My only thing is that if I had a standard version, I would definitely try and get a hold of some of Squid Industries colored anodized titanium hardware for these screws, just to add a little pop of color and a little bit of contrast in there. But that's just my personal flavor, and not everyone's into that, and that's pretty okay, obviously. The other thing really worth noting about this is the tuning on this out of the box was absolutely phenomenal. The best of any knife I've received, even compared to my Orca. It had no tap and absolutely minimal handle play. I mean, I was really, really surprised by just how crisp it felt. Again, you'd expect that from a mid-tech knife, but it's worth bearing in mind that this knife has fantastic tuning right out of the box. Don't mess with it. Just leave it as is. If you're gonna mess with it, weight pins are the only thing to really deal with. But like I said, I don't think it needs the weight pins. I think it's a really neat feature. I think it's for flippers more advanced than myself. I really like the stock feel of this. I have not been able to put it down in the last 2 days. The only real critique I'd have of this knife is the sound. The Orca, in my opinion, is the gold standard for Balisong sound, but that is a pinless design, and that sound of titanium and steel hitting and just that gorgeous ring is so hard to beat. This sounds, in my opinion, better than the Kraken, but the sound is nothing to write home about. It's not the design of the knife. It's not what it's made for. But, you know, it's not bad. It sounds better than something like a Morpho, which, I mean, I like my Morpho, but it doesn't sound great. It's not a great flipper. It's just a fun knife, as opposed to this, which is an absolutely top-tier flipper and is an amazing, amazing looking knife. And it's just, the feel is amazing. Overall, if I had to rate this knife, it's tough to do because it's such a unique knife, and a lot of it comes down to personal preference. And I know I'm even more biased because I adore this Timascus finish, or not Timascus finish, the actual Timascus of the handles and the Damascus steel blade. It, to me, elevates the look of this knife a huge amount, and so I'm trying not to let my own personal bias about my model get in here. In terms of actual feel, I'd say it's probably about a 9 out of 10, maybe a 10 out of 10. I personally prefer the slightly slimmer handles. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. The Orca has a little bit of a meatier feel to it, and I know some people really like that. I mean, I like that. I just think that the slimmer handles feel better. The appearance of it, for my model, easy 10 out of 10. The blade with its, you know, curved Tonto finish and just kind of this sleek, simple design. It's elegant, it's timeless. It just looks nice. And I think on the standard model, the basic handles look nice, but I think colored hardware should be the default. Not for mine. I prefer the silver or the standard unfinished bolts on mine. But again, if you have the stock model, try to get colored hardware. I think that pop of color is so much nicer looking. So for my personal model, I'd say the appearance is a 10 out of 10. For the standard, I'd say it's a 9.5 out of 10, just because you've got to get the colored hardware to make it pop, unless that's not what you're into. But for me personally, that's what I like. The only downside, like I said, is the sound, and that's not a real downside. It's such a minor thing in the grand scheme of this knife. Everything about this knife just feels premium. It feels honestly like a custom knife. It is hard to describe it. If you've ever flipped a Krake Raken, this is really nothing like that. It is it's its own unique beast, and if you ever have a chance to try one out, go for it. If you're a serious flipper, I'd highly recommend it. If it's within your price point and you're just an amateur who likes flipping or wants a unique piece, I'd recommend it for that too. I can't think of a single person I wouldn't recommend this knife to, provided that they're into Balisong flipping. So I think that about covers it. I'll go ahead and try to reply to any comments that I get. We'll see how this video does. If people are interested in seeing more reviews, I can definitely put a few of those together. In the meantime, I think I'll finish this video out with a little bit of amateur level flipping, just so you can get a see and a hear and figure out if you like it or not. So here we go. Let's roll the flipping. Thank you for watching.